Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Break the Glass. My name is Em, and if you're new to the show, our concept here at Break the Glass is to make wine a more approachable and accessible drink and highlight bottles that are $20 to $10, around that range. And just talk about how wine's a really interesting drink and we're trying to break that stigma of wine being a really snooty beverage. And this week we're going to talk about Old World versus New World wine. If you're not familiar with that concept, Old World and New World, it's in the wine world, there are two different ways of kind of distinguishing the regions that wine grows in. So Old World wine tends to be wine that comes from those European regions like Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, amongst some other ones as well. And the New World is those newer wine regions like California, Oregon, Washington, Argentina, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, amongst some others, of course. And how we're going to talk about how the labeling is different and how the winemaking styles in these two regions are different. I started my wine journey when I was living in Mendoza, Argentina, which is a New World wine region. And it was super easy for me to learn about wine there because I would walk into a store and I would know, I want Cabernet. I really like Cab Sav. I want to get that type of wine. And you walk into the store and it's the name Cabernet Sauvignon is big right on the bottle. It's obvious. You know exactly what you're getting. And then I came back from Mendoza, started working at a wine shop where we sold a lot of Old World wine. We really focused on French and Italian wine. And I knew that I really liked Cabernet Sauvignon from my time in Argentina. And so I wanted to try a Cabernet Sauvignon from France. And so I'd go to the France section. But I was so frustrated because I couldn't see Cabernet Sauvignon on any of the labels. And I was like, what the heck? Where is it? I'm so confused. I know they make Cab. I've had no idea where to find it though. And then my boss told me that in France, an Old World region, they just have a different way of labeling. So they label by appellation, which is the region within France. So the town or the village, the commune. You have to know which villages in France make Cabernet. So he said, you want Cab? Go find something that says Bordeaux on the label. Bordeaux is a town over on the west of France. And so you just have to know that that's, what you're looking for. In Old World regions, it's all about the village. People know, they like reds from Burgundy, or they like whites from Sancerre. And these are towns, they're not grapes. So you have to go look at the label. You need to realize, I am looking at a red Burgundy. That means it's going to be Pinot Noir. And I like Pinot Noir, so that's what I'm going to get. It's all about where it's made, not so much who it's made by or what the grape is. Region and geography is really important for Old World wine. But for New World wine, it's a much easier and more simpler concept. You like Cabernet, you just read it on the label, boom, California, Cabernet, done. Gonna buy it, easy. It's just an easier way of going about it. In New World, it's more about the winemaker and the grape, not so much where it's made. So yeah, that's what we're gonna talk about today. All right, so how about we learn how to read some Old World wine labels and look at the differences between that of a New World label as well, and learn how to read these bottles. All right, so there are two different ways of labeling a bottle of wine. There's appellation labeling, which is used in those Old World regions such as France, Italy, Spain, etc. And then there's vertical labeling, which you'll see more commonly used in the US, Argentina, New Zealand, Australia, etc. Let's start with appellation labeling. Old World labels by region, town, village, etc. You will not see the grape Pinot Noir on the label if you wanted to go into a shop and find a Pinot. You might, they're starting to do that a little bit, but for the most part, traditional winemakers, you're just going to see Burgundy. You need to know what each region grows. Old World growers do not care so much about the grape when labeling. Location is the most important thing. They do typically stay true to what the regions have traditionally grown. So, for example, if you see Burgundy on a label, Burgundy is a region in France. Here is where it is located within the country. And yeah, let's just look at that map real quick. And like all wines, there's white wine and there's red wine. Burgundy has white and red as well. they grow both. So here is a label of a Burgundy, a red from Burgundy. So if you see a red from Burgundy, you just have to know that it's Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is the grape that you're gonna be drinking. So if you're buying Burgundy, you better like Pinot Noir. If you see a white wine from Burgundy, it's going to be a Chardonnay. That's the grape that Burgundy grows. And that goes for so many other regions as well. It's not just Burgundy. If you like Cabernet, look for Bordeaux. Bordeaux is a region within France, and they're growing all Cab. All right, now let's talk about how the New World goes about labeling their bottles. So New World regions like California, they use vertical labeling. You will see this sort of labeling in all of these New World countries, like in Argentina, Australia, New Zealand. The two big things you're going to see on these labels are the producer and the grape. So let's just take a look at this label real quick. You'll see that Pinot Noir is in huge letters, that you know exactly what you're getting into. And typically you'll see the winemaker's name really big as well. That's really important to people who are buying in New World regions. They want to know who's making the wine that they're about to drink. The name of the region is actually going to be pretty small on these sorts of labels. Like you'll see all the way in like small lettering where it's coming from. It's really just not as important to these regions as much as the name of the winemaker and the grape is. All right, now let's go ahead and try 4 of these wines. Awesome, so let's start with Chardonnay. So we're gonna try 2 different Chardonnays, one from an Old World region, one from a New World region. One from California and one from France. So we'll talk about, like the winemakers, winemaking styles, price points. Start with California. So this is Sean Miner Chardonnay. It is $15, and he sources the grape from Central Coast, California. So Sean Miner doesn't actually have any vineyards. He is just a winemaker that works really closely with a few different wineries all throughout Oregon and even California. And he sources grapes from wineries that he really feels strongly about and has like a close relationship with. So this just shows that he really doesn't care too much about region as much as he does about the quality of grapes. So this is a Chardonnay. He makes a bunch of different other French varietals as well. He makes a little bit more. He makes like a Pinot Noir, he makes some Cab, and they're all from different regions within California. So the Chardonnay has like this really like yellowy, buttery gold color to it. It's definitely like, looks like a California Chardonnay. You smell it and you can already smell that there's some oak to it. He ages his wine in neutral oak barrels, so you're definitely gonna get some of that flavor along with it. You're gonna get an oaky, buttery flavor. My boss at the wine shop that I worked at, he used to always say that Chardonnay is like tofu, and that grape specifically takes on any sort of flavor that comes along with it. So if you're doing a certain winemaking practice and, for example, aging some of the wine in oak, it's really, really, really gonna take on that flavor. It's very sensitive to it. It's pretty good. Yeah, I like it. It's like not overly oaky. I'm definitely a little sensitive to some oakier wines. This is like still really enjoyable, refreshing. It tastes very clean. You can tell like it is a really nice, high quality wine. All right, now let's try a Chardonnay from an old world region. This is the Bernier Chardonnay from France. Bernier is $11. It's a killer steal. It's completely organic. And it's made by this young winemaker named Amelie. She actually used to come into the wine shop that I worked at. Her and my boss know each other, and she just seems like a great person. And so when she made her Chardonnay to start, she used to put 10 to 15% of the Chardonnay in neutral oak. She wanted it to be oaked, but not too oaky. But then she realized that in her opinion, it tastes best completely aged in stainless steel tank. So nowadays, like it's 100% aged in stainless steel. So there's no oak to it at all. It is aged on the lees, and on the lees means that it's aged with some of the dead deposits of yeast, like that come off during fermentation, which just gives it a more like rich, savory flavor to it. But you're not going to taste any oak in this. It's a very clean wine. It's actually one of my favorites. We used to sell it in the shop. And it smells so great. It's just like one of the most refreshing wines I've ever had. It's so great if you live in, like, I don't know, right now in Texas where we are, it's starting to get really hot. And if we're outside, this is just, you know, the perfect refreshing wine to go along with your 90-degree afternoons. And it's like just as amazing as I remembered. All right, awesome. Now let's head back to California. So now we're gonna try 2 different Pinot Noirs, one from California, one from France as well. Pinot Noir and Chardonnay are 2 of the most popular grapes in the world, which is why I figured this would be, you know, good examples to try from as we're comparing the 2 regions and their labeling, and then also how things taste. So this is the Bacchus Pinot Noir. This winemaker, he also sources his grapes just like Sean Miner, so he doesn't have like a specific winery where they come from. These grapes were sourced from Monterey, so he gets his Pinot Noir grapes from Monterey, and it is aged it's 50% aged in oak, and 50% is aged in stainless steel. So again, you're really gonna get some of that oaky flavor to it, because 50% of this wine is aged in oak for 8 months. So it's in there for a while. Yeah, you can smell it immediately once you take a whiff. It does smell really bright and delicious though. It just smells really juicy. Both of these wines are from 2018, so they're pretty young. They were made within the past, 2 years to a year and a half. So this is gonna be a young, fresh, bright wine. I can already tell. It just smells like berries and springtime. And it's really nice. Yeah, it's definitely a young wine. There's oak to it, but again, it's not overly oaked. It just gives it some nice structure. So if that's what you like, like more like tannic structure to your wine, this is gonna be really nice. And this guy was $15 as well. So again, like a really awesome steal for the type of wine you're getting. Pinot Noir is a really finicky grape and it's really hard to grow. So you're gonna see some of the most expensive wines that are out there on the market are Pinot Noirs. It's really hard to find a good quality Pinot Noir for $15. And this is really nice. I'm really enjoying this a lot. All right, now let's head back to France. This is Louis Latour's Burgundy. And so Louis Latore is this winemaker. They've been around since the 1700s. So this family has been around for forever. And they have land all throughout France. So you'll see that they don't just have, Burgundies, they also do Beaujolais, a few other things as well. So they're all over France. They're pretty well established, but it's a nice high quality wine. This is their Burgundy, and so Burgundy, their red grape that's native to them is Pinot Noir. So I knew it was going to be Pinot Noir. This guy is $20, so a little bit on the higher end of what I like to spend on my bottles of wine. But, like I said earlier, Pinot Noir is a really hard grape to grow, so it's going to be a more expensive bottle of wine to get. Louis Latore, this winemaker, they don't age their wine at all, or their Pinot Noir specifically, in oak. So this is 100% stainless steel fermented, and it's aged for about 12 months. Again, it's a 2018, so a relatively young Pinot Noir. You smell it and it's just bright, and it's like uplifting, and it's just juicy with some raspberry notes to it. It's just it smells really bright and refreshing. Yeah, definitely you can tell it's not oaked at all. And it's so good. This wine's so awesome. This is my first time trying this one. It's actually my first time trying all of them, except for the Bernier Chardonnay. But I'm really impressed by this. It's really hard to find a $20 Burgundy, and this is fantastic. But yeah, so it just kind of shows that there's different ways of making wine. And over in New World, we did California today. They definitely, things are a little bit more oaked, and that's how they used to structure their wine. Or as the two French examples that we tried today, no oak at all. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope you learned a little bit more about the differences between New World and Old World wines and their style, winemaking techniques, and also, how to read a label, because I do know it's really confusing. It was super confusing for me when I first came back to the US after, having only been in Argentina and only seeing like, oh, this is so nice. It just says Pinot Noir right there for me. And that's not how it all goes, in all the regions. And there's some really, really wonderful, incredible Old World wine out there. So I hope that, you'll feel more confident going into your wine shop and picking out a really great bottle from Italy or France or Spain, or even if, if New World's your jam and you want to keep drinking that. Sorry about that. A fly just flew into my mouth. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned some stuff. And I will see you next episode, and hopefully a fly doesn't fly into my mouth.